ready. I don't know if my voice is ready, but I'm ready. So let's go ahead and start rolling solo. Hello and welcome to Rolling Solo. I am your host, Paul, host and playmaster, player and GM. This is our solo Daggerheart role-playing game. As we follow the adventures of one Auriane Chopin as she travels across the world of Soleia, attempting at this point to stop a war. Will she be able to stop the war? I don't know. Couple orders of business before we really get started. One, I want to thank Rachel for coming out a couple of weeks ago and playing Duo. That was super fun, and I hope we get a chance to do it again. So if you haven't checked out that episode, check it out. It's on YouTube and Twitch. Two, I just feel like we need to know that this product, this video, the thing you are watching right now, is adapted from or based on content created by and owned by Darrington Press, Daggerheart Open Beta Materials, Darrington Press LLC, 2024, available at daggerheart.com. Let's go ahead and get started. So, okay. Oh, hello, Rachel. Happy Saturday. Happy Daggerheart. All right. So the last time we were here, the nation of Olhaldor, the Olhaldoran theocracy, has invaded the nation of Karaz. This is a problem for our hero, Auriane, because she was in the entourage of one Kolbrau Einar's daughter, a princess of the Kingdom of Ashes, who was trying to work out an alliance with the nation of Karaz to protect the two of them against the growing threat of the growing mobilization of the military of Olhaldor. Noticed that this was happening. The two nations, the leaders of the two nations, had noticed that this was happening, and they were intending to move forward to stop it. One of the ways they thought they would do that was by forming an alliance. To cement that alliance, they set up an arranged marriage between Princess Kolbrau and a minor prince of the House of Karaz, which did not happen. And the reason it did not happen is that our prince is dead. He was assassinated while Kolbrau was traveling by boat from Ashes to Karaz. Auriane got picked up back in Ashes as a sort of secondary bodyguard after Kolbrau's entire retinue, well, most of her retinue with the exception of her main bodyguard, Ursula, were slaughtered in a roadside ambush in an assassination attempt on Kolbrau, which we have seen several. We had a moment of farewell because we're back in Karaz now, and back in Karaz, hearing about the invasion, knowing about the assassination, Kolbrau has decided to stay in Spren at the court in order to represent her nation's interests and attempt to continue manufacturing this alliance, keeping in touch with her home in Ashes and her father Einar through the mysterious and somewhat sketchy attuned, the fungal organization that manages communication across the entire planet. As the managers of communication, the fungal are very upset at the fact that there is a dead spot in their network deep in the nation of Olhaldor, and they wish to send an agent to investigate. And so, Auriane has been recruited to be part of this investigation, and she is now in the company of the Clank Fungrel hybrid Lauren Butler. The two of them have met in a bar and are preparing to head out into the wilderness. Well, head out into Old Haldor to see if they can figure out what's going on. That's where we're at. That was a lot. Take a minute. Okay. What I had initially intended to do was to write up a series of journal entries from Auriane and read those to you, and that would kind of carry us through this journey. And I was having a lot of trouble doing that, and I thought to myself, why am I having a lot of trouble doing that? And I think that the answer to why I'm having a lot of trouble doing that is because I'm not playing. I'm just trying to make up the story instead of letting the dice tell the story. So we're going to let the dice tell the story. The journey from Sprin, looking at my map, which I have used Asgar's fantasy map generator to generate this whole world, and so I have a random continent here that I'm staring at, and looking at the map, it's about a 16-day journey from the town of Sprin, the city of Sprin, to the town of Saltwatch, which is a town in a marsh in the center of Karaz. A small place, population about 1,500. From there is a, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish day journey overland, provided everything goes well up to there. About an 8-day walk to Snowmahal, which is a border town, and from there, who knows how long it's going to take them to walk into Old Haldor. That's going to be our kind of march into Mordor. So there's a lot of time to cover here. And so we need to come up with a couple of mechanics. So one is that what we're looking at here is about, let's see, that's about 2 weeks. That's another week and a half. So we'll call that, that's 2.5 weeks, another week and a half. That's like 4 weeks. Let's go 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say it's about 8 weeks before they can get to Old Haldor, if everything goes well. So let's go ahead and create an 8-week countdown. And our 8-week countdown will be for... Now, 8 weeks is a long time for the invading army to make it to Sprin, because they are just not that far away. But right now, the invading army is in the city of Draketspost, and that is... I don't know. Maybe 3 weeks of forced march away from Sprin, but of course they will be interrupted. They've got supply lines. There will be things happening on their background. Colbra is going to be doing stuff. So we're going to say that it's going to be about an 8-week countdown. And we'll either advance the countdown or not advance the countdown based on things that are happening in Sprin. And we will find out what's happening in Sprin by having Lauren, who, as I mentioned, is a fungrel / clank / operative of the Attuned network. She will check in and we'll find out what's happening back home. So that's kind of going to be our mechanic there. So I'm going to say this is invaders reach Sprin. Here's my countdown. And it's about 8 weeks that'll be. The countdown of the counter is currently blank. So the first town we've got here. So that being said, let's go ahead and go through some number of days. We have 16 days that we think it's going to take to get to Salt Watch. So let's go ahead and break that up. We'll use a D8. So on average, we'll get 4 rolls out of this. We'll use a D8 to see how many days we have progressed before our first scene. So, and that's assuming that we're walking, which I think is a pretty good assumption. They could go by stage, but we'll assume that, they could go by stage, they could go by horse. If they go by horse and they switch horses, which they possibly could, because the Attune network is quite wealthy. So let's find that out. Let's do that first off. Let's roll our first check. And let's just see, and we'll say it's we'll use our Hope Fear. So green is hope, red is fear. We will say that it is just likely, so we'll add a D4 for a modifier. And we'll say, do we have horses for this journey? And let's see what we got here. We've got a 1 and a 2. So that's a 1 on the fear die, that's a 2 on the hope die. Yeah, that's a 2. And that's a 1 on our modifier die. So that would give us no. But no, but we can travel light. We don't have to carry supplies for more than a couple of days because Lauren is able to pick up, basically to operate on credit. So Lauren doesn't have to pay for anything. We don't have to worry about carrying days and days of supplies. We are well funded by the Fungal Network and able to do things. So with that, we know that we are on foot. There we go. All right, so knowing that we're on foot, let's see. Knowing that we're on foot, how many days? Let's just do a D8. Let's see how many days walk we have. Looks like a 1, but it's not a 1. It's a 4. All right. 4 days walk. 4 days walk will take us 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Past the town of Braunhelm. And so let's build a scene here. So what's going to happen in this? What is it that we want out of this scene? And I apologize again for my lack of vocal discipline as well, because I make clicking noises, and I realize that's probably annoying as hell. Okay. What do we want out of this scene? We want to establish a little bit of relationship between our characters. We want to try to connect to the network. And I feel like making that an automatic is a little too easy. So we want to try to connect to the network, and we want to get information back on what is happening with the war. So we will start. Let's see. Let's start with, we're on a road. Auriane is there. She is, as we've mentioned, a tall, imposing, strong elf woman, with gray skin, red eyes, black hair, with giant battle axe slung over her shoulder, dressed in simple leathers. And she is kind of, at the moment, sort of leaning on her axe and watching as Lauren Butler, who is... let's see if I ever did a description of Lauren. Lauren Butler wears a cloak that is generally pulled up, long sleeves. What you can see of them is this kind of metalwork tracing exoskeleton that covers their body, that contains this sort of fungal mushroom textured, kind of oddly textured skin. They are somewhat short, especially next to Auriane, and they are generally sort of a brownish color. It's hard to say what color their eyes are. They appear to be basically black. In this scene, we have Auriane is standing, and the mongrel Lauren has her hand, she is crouched with her hand on the earth. As we look closely at her hand in the earth, we can see these tiny tendrils extending out of her hand and into the ground and spreading out as she attempts to pick up information from the network. If we were doing this as cinematically, we might drop into that network and we might see on the screen that kind of flashing of different nodes connected to this huge wide web of information, and this one singular bit of light trying to navigate that. So this is kind of what's happening as they try to navigate their way through the network and pick up the information that they need. We're going to roll to connect to the network. I'm going to say it's not automatic. We're going to say this is a DC 10. Probably DC 5. It's easy, just not automatic. So we're going to say this is a DC 5 check, and I'm going to say that for Lauren, this is going to be instinct. So they get a +1 on this, and let's see what happens. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a cat that lives here at this Airbnb who's trying to get in. Let's see what we got here. We got a 12 on our hope die. We got an 8 on our fear die. So that is an emphatic yes and. We are able to connect to the network. So what do we find out? What do we want to know? Well, let's see. We're about 4 days down the line, so one thing we want to know is, should we advance our counter? And so a question is, has the army of the Olhaldorans managed to advance much past Dragpost? Or are they still kind of fortifying that city? So we have to ask that one of two ways. I will ask it, are the Olhaldorans still fortifying their position? Alright, so that's going to be a 8 and a 6, so that gives us a 14, and that's a 14 with hope. So on a 14 with hope, that's a yes and. So yes, they are still fortifying their positions, and so make some notes here. It's day 4. Haldorans fortifying in Dragpost. So the Haldorans are fortifying, and This is hopeful, so this is good for us. So we will say, and some of the military units of Karaz are also managing to sort of create some stressors for them. So we will not it will not advance our countdown at this time. So that's one thing we want to know. Second thing we want to know, is the Alliance moving well? So Lauren will, having connected to the network, will get some information, will withdraw their hand. They will turn to Auriane and say, well, there is good news. Okay. I gotta lock down a voice for this character. I really do. So they'll say, I was gonna go with a southern accent. So I'll just give it a shot. Can I do a southern accent? I can, but it sounds a little cartoonish, but we're gonna go with it. I'm just gonna say, well, I have some good news. It seems that the army of Karaz is managing to fortify their position somewhat and make some advancements on the bluffs above the river, so they seem to have the Ohaldorns pinned down in Dreckenpost at the moment. And it appears that the alliance talks between Karaz and Ashes are going. Ooh. Live with fear. Are going poorly. There are elements of the Karazian court who seem to think that the Ashes, that this assassination attempt was taken part of based on operatives from Ashes. This is causing a great deal of tension. I believe your friend may even be in some danger. Danger, you say? Why do you think my friend might be in danger? Or what kind of danger? Is she in direct physical danger? I doubt it. It seems unlikely that they would assassinate her, at worst, I would think they would imprison, hold her at the castle and not let her leave. And well, that is okay. She wanted to be there anyway, so I'm sure she's a resourceful woman. She will be able to find a way to convince them that she is not a danger. Well, I hope so. Conditions ahead on the road are they're amazing is what they are, because we just read it. So conditions on the road ahead are amazing. This is good news and bad news kind of situation. Rain would slow down. It looks like, according to the network, we have a huge storm coming across Old Haldor. That might be good, because it's not going to slow us down much, but it's going to slow down an army a great deal. They can't travel very well if the roads get muddy, and we, on the other hand, are traveling light. So that's good news for us. It's going to slow them down. Is a very useful element you have there. Okay. It is good to know. Well, that's about all we got. Let's get packing. And begin to pack up and put on their packs and begin to walk down the road. Now, I think it's unlikely that anything will happen to them on the road. But let's go ahead and see. They're walking. Do they run into any trouble? I'm going to say this is unlikely. I'm going to say it's very unlikely, so I'm going to add a d6 to this roll. So this is, do they run into any trouble on the road? So that is a 4 and a 1. So that is a no, and that 4 modifies it to less than 0. So I guess we'll call it that a 2, since that's our lowest score. No, they don't run into any trouble on the road. Good for them, bad for us. Okay, so how do we handle a no but on a question like that? So we said, do they run into any trouble on the road? No, but they do run into some help. So I'm going to say, let's add another counter. And let's call this arrive. So this is their counter for arriving. We're going to say no, but Lauren Butler, is that you? A carriage pulls up. And it's going a carriage heading oddly, because most of the traffic on this road is headed east. To give you a little bit of the map of this, we have on the east side of the kingdom, on the east side of this continent, the northeastern corner is Karaz. South of Karaz is Ashes, which contains the southern subcontinent of Cavay, which is connected by a little peninsula, an isthmus, rather. And to the west, containing the entire center of the continent, is Ulhaldor. So most of the traffic is going to be flowing to the east, as people, hearing the news that the Ulhaldorns are invading, are going to be moving east. This is a rare carriage that's moving west. And the person who's in the carriage stops and let's go ahead and get a random name. Random name. That's an 8. Oh, I can't use that name. Reagan. R-A-I-G-E-N, Reagan. Reagan. I love it. This person, this 5 is woman. This woman leans out and says, Lauren Butler, is that you? Reagan? Holy heck, what are you doing here? What? Just, I have business in, I have business in Englandfall. And I was just heading out that way. Well, heck. That's interesting. We're heading that way ourselves. And there's some discussion and some negotiation, and eventually our heroes get a ride. And so we're going to advance our counter for their travel by 2. Then we'll advance it by 1, which will advance them a week of travel. We'll say that they will then get to Englandfall much ahead of time. All right. Well, okay, so that's got us at about 30 minutes. And I am, obviously not home. Have much that must be done. So I'm going to go ahead and call it here and say that we have we'll pick up next time with some of this carriage ride, and we will pick up on what's going on with our heroes from there. But we've got a boon, they got a bit of a lift, and the invaders have got a bit of a setback, and so things are going well for our heroes on their journey to Ol Haldor. So, thank you very much for watching. As always, should you wish to buy a Rolling Solo t-shirt, just in case you yourselves roll solo, you can get one at my Etsy shop, Etsy /Solid Soft Design. I also have various themed merchandise from either Solid Soft or etc. that is fun to get. I definitely 100% do not depend on that. So don't worry about it. And other than that, bye. Thanks for watching. Hey, keep rolling. Oh, and have a wonderful Saturday too.